Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBabeCrochet.com, and I'm real excited to share with you today the Easy Beginners round dishcloth. This is so much fun to crochet. You only really need to know the single crochet for the body of this project, and you also need to know how to do double crochet and chains. But anyway, don't worry about that. I will show you step by step how to do this, but let me show you some of the really cool functions of this. Obviously, it's 100% cotton. And this will hold up for many years in your kitchen drawer for washing dishes. I promise this is sturdy enough to handle washing pots and pans. And beyond being a dishcloth, it can also protect your counters by being a hot pad for your pots, just like that. And also it looks pretty decorative as you use it too. And if it gets dirty, you just throw it in the wash and it washes really well. Another function, if you fold this in half, you can actually use it on hot surfaces to keep from being burned, but do make sure you have it folded in half. So this is kind of a multifunctional item, and I'm going to show you in just a minute what you need to crochet with this. I'm going to show you another the specific version of a cone of cotton like this that I purchased at my local Walmart store. Each cone, it doesn't matter what brand you have. I'm not sponsoring any particular brand, but each has approximately 690 to 700 yards of yarn. And what that means is for that $8.44 that I paid for that, I was able to crochet 11 of these. And these are definitely going to be some of my gifts to my neighbors. Maybe friends at church, maybe school teachers, what have you. You know, somebody, people on your list that you want to show them a little bit of, gratitude, but maybe don't want to break the bank, if you know what I'm saying. So when you make some of these, and these do crochet up in about between 40 minutes to an hour, depending on your skill, of course. It might take a true beginner maybe an hour and a half, but still it's a relatively short project. And you can buy this yarn in many different colors that can make some really beautiful things. And let me show you one other thing that you can do with these. If you fold these up and tie them on the end, you can actually make a little flower to put in a gift basket. Maybe if you want to give to somebody with special soaps and things like that. And you can actually use these as a washcloth if you'd like, although I'd prefer maybe a little bit softer cotton for that. Well, anyway, let me go ahead and get started. And before I do, if you could please hit that subscribe button if you are new to my channel. And if you're not getting notifications, just hit that little bell. And if you could hit a thumbs up if you like the project, I'd really, really appreciate that. Well, let's go ahead and let me show you what else you're going to need. The yarn that I'm using for this project is 100% cotton. It's a number 4, which is also considered a worsted weight or a medium weight yarn. This is by Peaches and Cream. You can really use any worsted weight yarn. You're not going to need as much as this. I actually found this at my local Walmart store. It's a huge spool. I'll be able to make many dishcloths with this particular one. Now, they also sell very small scans of this for under $2. That would work just the same because it's the same yarn. It's just a much smaller quantity, and one of the small ones will also be just fine for this project. Well, I'm highly recommending that you use a size H or 8 or 5.00 millimeter crochet hook, and I also recommend that you have a yarn needle for hiding loose ends. And because we're using a special technique of crocheting in the round, I recommend that you have a stitch marker. As you can see, this is a stitch marker that will open and close. And if you don't have a special stitch marker, but if you have an earring that looks like this, by all means use that. If you don't have an earring or a stitch marker that you can take off of a row, what you can also do is use a contrasting color piece of yarn and just mark the spot that way. It's not at the best, but this actually will make do. Okay, so you don't have to run out and buy something just for this. For those of you who don't have a stitch marker, let me show you how easy it is to mark your stitch. Suppose this is the first stitch of the round you want to mark. you just pull the yarn through like this, and then you can just flop it over, and that just reminds you that that is the first stitch of the round. Now the disadvantage of using this is it can easily slip out, but that's also an advantage. So when you get to that point, and let's say, I'm just skipping ahead here, let's say you work a stitch here, and then you are working in the first stitch of the round, then you simply pull it out, and then pull it back in to the stitch spot where you want this. Just pull it through, just like that, so that you have the place marked. Okay, I just wanted to show you that in case that is the method you choose to use. Okay, before we begin, I know many of you beginners out there don't know how to read patterns. Now, as I go through this particular design, I'm going to help you with that, and I'm going to try to help you to understand, kind of demystify some of these patterns. This is the key right here, is the abbreviation list. If you own a cell phone, obviously if you're watching me on a computer, you have some techie experience and probably have texted in your life. Well, texting oftentimes involves using abbreviations. I like to say that learning to read the abbreviations for crochet is actually easier than reading a teenager's text message. I really think that's true in a lot of cases these days. But for the purposes of this design, when you see a CH in the pattern, and by the way, the pattern is available in my Love Crafts store. The link to the pattern is in the description. Just look in the description of this video below, and that'll take you to that place where you can download a copy. Well, as far as the abbreviations in the pattern goes, CH stands for chain, DC stands for double crochet, SC for single crochet, slip stitch, written this way, stands for, you guessed it, slip stitch, SP for space, and ST, and sometimes it has an S, sometimes not. It just stands for stitch or stitches. Okay, let's go ahead, and we're going to read the first line, and I will do this step by step, and I think you'll find that it's quite easy. Okay, the first step is to read the pattern note, and I've already explained this, but I will read it to you. The pattern note says, this is a continuous style of crocheting in the round. Mark the first stitch of each round with a movable stitch marker, something like this, or your piece of contrasting yarn. Do not join at the end of each round or turn. Okay, and as you watch me crochet this, you'll understand what this means. Okay, the very first thing to do is chain 4 and slip stitch to first CH, which is chain, to form a ring. Let's go ahead and do that. I have my yarn handy, and the first thing we always do when working a chain is to do a slip knot. Go ahead and pull that through, give it a tug, make sure it's the size of the crochet hook, and then we're going to chain 4, and I like to chain with the yarn coming over the back side of the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to make a slip stitch in the first chain. The first chain is right down here. The slip knot is not the first chain. Just want to be clear about that. I have had excellent questions from beginners, and they say, oh, do I chain here? Well, absolutely not, because we pulled that extra tight so that it would secure the project. The first chain is right here, and I just go in 1 loop. Let me try that again. 1 loop, right like that. Put the yarn over the hook, and then we just pull the yarn through and pull the yarn through. Now we've made this very tiny circle. It looks kind of like a Cheerio or a donut seed, maybe, if there were such a thing. Now let's go ahead and check our pattern for what we need to do next. The next thing we need to do, it says round 1. Now sometimes in patterns, round will be abbreviated to RND, so just to let you know that. For round 1, it says to CH or chain 1, work 8 SC for single crochet into center of ring. Do not join or turn but continue to next row. Now each of the rows are going to be worked that way as mentioned up here in this pattern, but it is stated explicitly just in the first round and assumes that you're going to know that for the repeating rounds. Okay, so we're going to work 8 after we do a chain 1, work 8 single crochets into the center of the ring, and at the end of this round we're going to have 8 single crochets. So let's go ahead and start that. Chain 1, and then working into the hole right here, we're going to work 8 single crochets. That's 1, and I'll do these a little bit slower in case you've never seen a single crochet. Stick the hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over the back, and pull through 2. Now also notice that I am crocheting on top of this yarn strand as well, and that's just going to make it a lot easier to hide. So that's 2 single crochets. That's 3. Again, stick the hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over the back, and pull through 2 loops. So I'll go ahead and do this 8 times. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you notice I did not put my stitch marker in the first stitch of this round, and that's primarily because it's pretty obvious that this is the first stitch. But now as we go further, that's going to change. Now since we've already crocheted 8 stitches over this piece here, we're going to go ahead and trim this to get rid of it. Just very carefully make sure you can trim that and get a sharper pair of scissors than the ones I just used. Okay, so now we're ready to go on for round number 2. As we work through our rounds, it's probably a good idea to go ahead and check off the rounds as we go. That way, if we need to put your work down for any period of time, you can always pick it up right where you left off, and you don't have to try to figure out where you are. Okay, for round number 2, we are going to work 2 single crochets or 2 SCs in each stitch around. And at the end of this round, we should have 16 single crochets. So let's go ahead as we do round 2, but there's one thing that we're forgetting, and that is go ahead and we're going to mark the first stitch. So we're going to make the first stitch of the round right there. So that's going to be our first stitch of round number 2. And let's go ahead and mark the stitch so that we know where we are. And the directions said to work 2 single crochets in each stitch. So I've worked 1, and let's work another one. That's 2. And then I'm going to do that in each stitch around. 2 single crochets in each stitch. So I'm going to go ahead and work these all the way around, and then I'll show you what I have when I'm done. So I just finished round 2, but let's go ahead and count to verify that we have 16 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and the last one 16. And notice that I am counting these like V's. Okay, that's how you tell the stitches. It's a lot easier than trying to figure them out from here. Okay, so now we've come to the place which is our first stitch. So we're now ready to look at round 3, and let's see what round 3 says. Okay, so I've checked off round 2. Round 3 says single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets in next stitch. And we're going to work that all the way around. Notice the brackets here and here. Whenever you see brackets or parentheses with text inside, it generally means that that is what you're going to be repeating. So inside the brackets, we're going to repeat that all the way around, and at the end of this round we should have 24 single crochets. So let's read this again. Single crochet in the next stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Let's go ahead and do that. So I begin single crochet in the next stitch. That's just 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the time to move my stitch marker. Very important. And then it said 2 single crochets in the next, so make sure you do 2 in the next. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 in the next. 1 single crochet in the next, and 2 in the next. Now I am speeding up my speed a little bit with my stitch, because the stitch that I'm going to be working is the exact same one all the way around, just single crochets until we get to the last round. So now if I am going too fast for you on the project or in my crochet speed, I do have a solution for you. Even though the stitch that I am making is the exact same stitch that I've shown you already at a much slower speed. But if you want to slow me down ever, on the computer there's a little gear icon that's in this section. For the left-handers, it's on this side. And if you click that, you can select playback speed, and you can actually slow me down quite a bit or speed me up if you're getting bored. If you're working from a cell phone, there'll be 3 vertical dots up here. For the left-handers, it'd be on this side. And if you click on that, it does the same thing. It will speed up or slow down the video as you select. So I hope that is helpful. Now I've come around full circle here by working the single crochet in one stitch and then 2 single crochets in the next, and you can see it's still a very nice circle. If your project is getting super wavy at any point, you may want to just stop and check your stitch count and make sure that you are following along according to the pattern. Okay, so now we have finished round 3. Let's see what round 4 has for us. For round 4, it says to single crochet in the next 2 stitches. In other words, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 crochet, single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. I know that may sound kind of confusing, but when it says single crochet, that means 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And you see the parentheses or the brackets here. That means that that's what you're going to repeat all the way around. At the end of this round, we should have a total of 32 single crochets. And notice that I did check off round number 3 so that I know that I'm on round number 4. So let's go ahead and do the first stitch of the round, which is in the same place as where that stitch marker was. So whenever you do a stitch where the stitch marker was from the previous round, go ahead and take it out and mark that stitch that you just completed. Okay, so that's 1 stitch and then 1 stitch in the next single crochet. Now we're going to work 2 in the next. 1, 2, and that is going to be a repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet in that stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then 2 in the next stitch. So go ahead and work that all the way around. 1 single crochet in that stitch, 1 single crochet, see 1, 2, 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. Okay, let's take a look at round number 5. Round number 5 says to single crochet in the next 3 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and you see that is inside the brackets, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. At the end of this round, we should have 40 single crochets. Okay, now we're ready to start round number 5. Let's go ahead and work a single crochet in that first stitch where that stitch marker is, and then we're going to move our stitch marker, just signifying that that is the first stitch of the round. And the instructions again said to single crochet, 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So that's 1, that's 2, 3. So 1 single crochet in 3 stitches, 1, 1, and 1, or you just count 1, 2, 3. And then the next stitch, we put 2 single crochets in the next. And that's going to be the repeat all the way around for round 5. 1 there, 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next, so that we have 1, 2, 3 stitches, and then 2 in the next. So go ahead and work that all the way around. Now let's take a look at round number 6. I've checked off round 5 that I've just completed. Now it says to single crochet. Again, it's inside the brackets. I know I'm repeating myself, and that is a redundancy, but again, this is a learning project, so I'm hoping that really serves you in the long run. SC, or single crochet, in the next 4 stitches. 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and we're going to work this around, and we should have 48 single crochets at the end of this round. Let's go ahead and do that. So we single crochet in the first 4 stitches, but let's go ahead and do the first stitch, which has that stitch marker. Let's go ahead and take that out and put it back in. I know this seems problematic maybe to some of you, but believe me, this is going to save you so much time in trying to figure out where you are, and it's so much more difficult to understand where you left off and so forth when you're working in the round like this, and this stitch marker is going to just really be a good thing to use. All right, so that was 1 stitch. That counts as 1. That's 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 stitches that each have 1 single crochet, and then the next will have 2. Now let me show you something else that will kind of help guide you as well. Notice that when you put the 2 stitches in that 1 stitch, that if you look back at the previous rounds, this is the second of the 2 single crochets where you had 2 stitches in. Okay, I don't know if that's going to show up on the video. So I put 2 stitches here, and then in the previous row you have a round rather. You had 2 stitches in the same place, and we're working these 2 stitches in the second one. I don't tell you that so that you only look for that. I don't want you to do that because that's a little difficult to see, but just in case you're counting and you're not sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches with 1 single crochet, and then 2 in the next. I'll go ahead and repeat that for you one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 stitches or 2 single crochets in that next space. So go ahead and work that all the way around. Now that I've finished this round, let me show you at the end of each round that should end at the stitch right before the first stitch of the previous round. Now if you are running out of stitches, or if the multiples are ending in a different place, then you probably are a little bit off on your stitch count. Okay, that's not the end of the world. You can just continue on from where you are, or if you were at the very beginning of the project, it might be a good idea to start again. But I just wanted to point that out, that when you end the round, you should end in the stitch right before the first stitch of the round. Now we're ready to go on to the next round. For round number 7, and again inside the brackets here is what we're going to be repeating all the way around. Single crochet in the next 5 stitches, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and we're going to repeat that around. At the end of this round we should have a total of 56 single crochets. So let's go ahead and start round 7 again with a single crochet in that first stitch where the stitch marker is. Go ahead and take the time to move your stitch marker to the stitch we just made. And we are going to crochet in the first 5 stitches with 1 single crochet. So that's 1 we just completed. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you're going to do 2 single crochets in the next. By now you should be seeing that there is a pattern that is being established with these multiples. As we go through each round, we are adding stitches, and that's pretty much the way this project is going to play out through, I believe it's 13 rounds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 in the next stitch. So go ahead and finish round 7. Now we're ready to begin round number 8, and inside the brackets here, single crochet in the next 6 stitches, 2 single crochets in the next, and we're going to do that all the way around. And at the end of this round we should have 64 single crochets. Again, to start this round we're going to single crochet in the first stitch and go ahead and move that stitch marker so that we know this is the first stitch of the round. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, but this is in an effort to serve you. Okay, so we're going to single crochet in the first 6 stitches. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then 2 in the next stitch. 1, 2, and I noticed that I did put those 2 stitches in the same place, which is the second of the 2 stitches from the previous round. So I know I am on target as I go. So 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 2 in the next stitch. Okay, so go ahead and work that repeat all the way around. We're making progress now. We're up to round number 9, and inside the brackets we find single crochet in the next 7 stitches, 2 single crochets in the next. We're going to work that around. At the end of this round we should have a total of 72 single crochets. Let's go ahead and do that. So beginning round number 9, go ahead, single crochet in that first stitch. Go ahead and remove the stitch marker and put it in the first stitch of the round yet again. Time well spent, I promise you. And we're going to do single crochets in the first 7 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And we're going to do that all the way around. I'll do that repeat one more time for you. 1 single crochet in the next 7 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 2 single crochets in that next stitch. So go ahead and work that repeat all the way around. Now that brings us to round number 10, and inside the brackets we find single crochet in the next 8 stitches and 2 single crochets in the next stitch around. At the end of this round we should have a total of 80 single crochets. So let's go ahead and work round number 10. Just like the other rounds, we begin with a single crochet in that first stitch where we find our stitch marker. Go ahead and move that, marking that as our first stitch of the round, and we're going to single crochet in the first 8 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 2 single crochets in the next. I should have mentioned this earlier, but whenever you work 2 stitches in the same stitch, we also call that an increase. That is not in the written pattern that I'm using today, but if you ever see an abbreviation for increase, you guessed it, it's INC. Let me go ahead and show you this repeat one more time. Single crochet in the next 8. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next. 1, 2. So go ahead and work that all the way around. Now we're ready to begin round number 11, and inside the brackets it says to single crochet in the next 9 stitches, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around. At the end of this round we should have a total of 88 single crochets. So we begin round 11 in the same way. We single crochet in that first stitch, which had our stitch marker. And let's go ahead and move that. Go ahead and stick it in there, the first stitch of the round. And we're going to single crochet in the first 9 stitches, so that counts as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then 2 single crochets in that next stitch, or a single crochet increase. So that's what we're going to do. So go ahead and work that all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 9 stitches, and then 2 in the next. That brings us to round number 12, and inside the brackets we read single crochet in the next 10 stitches, 2 single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to work that repeatedly around. And at the end of this round we should have a total of 96 single crochet, and this is going to be the last round where we actually have increases. So let's go ahead and work round number 12. We begin in the same way by working that first single crochet in that first stitch of the last round. Let's go ahead and replace our stitch marker to identify the first stitch of this round, and we're going to single crochet in the first 10 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, and then 2 single crochets in that next stitch. And that is your repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in the next. This brings us to round number 13, where we are to single crochet in each stitch around, and we have 96 single crochets at the end. Notice that there should be no increases from the last round that we just finished to this round that we're working on now. So just 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So as we begin round 13, we're still going to move our stitch marker. Go ahead and work in that first stitch of the round, and let's go ahead and label this. And we are simply going to just work 1 single crochet in every stitch around. No increases this time around. So go ahead and finish that. Go ahead and finish this all the way around. Okay, now that we've finished working this all the way around, we've just completed round number 13. There are 2 options for you. I have an extra round which actually adds a very beautiful decorative round. I will show you how to do that. But if you find that too difficult, what you can do is you could end the project here simply by going into the next project, the next stitch, and working a slip stitch just like this, and then working another chain, giving it a tug, and then you would clip the yarn and then simply hide that loose thread. But let me show you a better way that's a little more decorative. Now you notice that we did come to the first stitch of the round. We can go ahead and take that out. Okay, now we've come to the last round, and you can see I have a little typo here that is corrected in the final copy. For round 14, notice that we have brackets here, but then we also have parentheses inside the brackets. So whenever you see a situation like this, you read what's in the parentheses, and then it'll give you the instructions right outside as to what to do. It says single crochet, chain 3, double crochet in next stitch, and then skip the next 2 stitches. And we're going to repeat that all the way around. That's what we're going to do. And let's finish the sentence. After we finish going all the way around, we're going to join with a slip stitch to first stitch of round, fasten off I'll show you what that means. Hide loose strands, and I'll demonstrate that in the end as well. But right now, what we're concerned with is the repeat that's going around. Single crochet, chain 3, double crochet, all of that in next stitch. Let's go ahead and work round 14. Okay, so we're going to work, starting in that first stitch of the round, a single crochet, chain 3, and then a double crochet, all in the same space. Let me show you how that's the single crochet, chain 3, and double crochet, all in the same space. Now we're going to skip the next 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we're going to repeat that again. Single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll do a slower double crochet in case some of you have never seen this. You wrap the hook, stick the hook in your stitch, pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over the back, pull through 2, yarn over the back, pull through 2 more, and that's a double crochet. So you can see this double crochet kind of falls to the side as I skip 2, skip 1, 2, and then I do this again. Single crochet, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet. I'll do one more for you. Skip 2. Now for the repeat, single crochet, chain 3, and I'll do a slower double crochet. Yarn over, stick the hook in, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And you can see how the double crochets fall along those 2 skip stitches, and it leaves a nice little scallop. And what's really nice about these little scallops is it's not just decorative, but it can also be very functional. If you want to hang up this dishcloth to dry, you can just hang it on one of these little loops. Okay, hang it on a hook if you need to. So it's not just beauty, but it's also function. So I'll do this one more time. Skip the next 2 stitches, single crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around, and then I'll show you how to join at the end of this round. At the end of the round, we're going to skip the last 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we're going to join with a slip stitch in that first single crochet of the round. Slip, stitch, and now we're going to give it a chain, give it a nice tug, and you're going to take your sharp scissors and cut a generous strand just like this. Go ahead and give that a nice tug. Now I'm going to teach you how to hide this loose thread. I'm going to have you turn it to the back side, and we're going to thread this right like that. And this is why you leave a slightly longer thread so that it makes it easy to thread into this needle. And we're going to bring this down into the stitches. This is the back side. Okay, got that. Pull it down kind of nice and snug here. And you can really run it under any of these stitches however you'd like. And the goal is to just hide the yarn thread amongst the stitches. And seeing that it's a dishcloth, it really doesn't matter nearly as much as it would if it were something that you're going to wear. But you do want to do a good job, and you learn how to do something well on the little projects like this, and it'll just give you skills for later on for the larger projects. So we're going to go ahead and clip this very close to our work, but make sure that we don't clip the actual stitches. If you give a little tug like that, then it kind of disappears into your work, never to be seen again. So let's go ahead and spread this out flat. It's very easy to do with your hands with this cotton. It's very pliable. And we are done with our round dishcloth. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this project. If you did, please hit that thumbs up, and by all means subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of the other projects that I have coming your way. And I do have quite a few coming, both for the holiday season and after. God bless. Bye-bye.